Assalamu alaikum, dear students and dear friends. Peace be on to you all. I hope you're all doing very well. Today, we are recording this podcast soon after the schools have reopened in Kashmir Valley. So, we are going to talk about the problems the students face in this pandemic and maybe some solutions we may be proposing. I have a guest with me, Mr. Nazir Sofi. He is my colleague. He is a teacher by profession, as I am a teacher by profession. That's how he is my colleague. He is a political science teacher, a voracious reader. Today, we are going to talk about the lessons we learn from coronavirus. You may be pretty surprised to hear from me that lessons we learned from coronavirus, although it has been very bad experience for all of us, being caged at home and somehow really suffered the disease and somehow suffered death and somehow experienced it very closely, and it has been a nightmare for many of us. But we must keep in mind that whatsoever bad happens to us, there is always a good impact of that also. As they say, every cloud has a silver lining. So sometimes some bad things happen to us and we tend to get better from that. So that's the reason we have taken up this topic, the lessons we learned from coronavirus, especially for the students. So it may be motivating for all of us. So please listen to the speaker very carefully. So I thank Mr. Nazir Sofi for being part of this podcast today and for attempting to share some insights with us. Thank you very much, Mr. Nazir, for being with us.
Thank you, Asif. It's wonderful feeling being here on this platform, on this podcast, and talking to listeners through you. So it's a wonderful feeling. So I appreciate this actually effort of yours to connect with the students, connect with listeners through this platform.
Thank you again, sir. And dear listeners, I would like to seek some suggestions from you too, because we may not be able to talk about all the things that are relevant to the students, and the listeners may be teachers, maybe other professionals. So since you are a keen observer, you too can share some ideas, some thoughts. They may change somebody's life and make them more motivated. So feel free to write in the comment box your suggestions, your advice for the students who are now restarting to learn. Now, getting to the topics, since there has been this virus and lockdowns and students have been badly affected, what do you say about that? What should students do in order to overcome this really depressing situation?
Dear Asif, let me tell you, it's true that, students have been, adversely, badly affected by the coronavirus that's engulfing the, world. So it has led to the, closure of schools, colleges, universities, and other institutions. So according to one of the studies of the UNESCO, it affected, the coronavirus affected 1.6 billion students across the globe. So means that accounts for 91% of the total student population. So there's been
that's so huge.
Yeah, it's so huge. So it's been really a very tough time for the students. There are various issues. As far as their academics are concerned. So be it their completion of this syllabus. So it is always a challenge for the students to complete the syllabus on time. But here, due to coronavirus, this thing that many of the students are yet to complete their syllabus.
So, that means there has been a great effect and a great loss of time and loss of even interest. So as they say, what cannot be cured must be endured. Okay, but this endurance should not make them lazier. So what do you propose to the students in order to really come out of this laziness and this anxiety? Okay, not doing anything. There have been, maybe we as teachers might have suffered this too, that we were free at home, but we could not read, we could not study. So now is the time, since we are trying to regain what we had. So there are some, we are not same. After the coronavirus broke out, we are not same. Okay, we teachers are not same, so we know the students are not same. So what do you suggest them in order to come out of that and be more passionate again and study with positivity and look at the target that they are about to achieve, or they want to achieve, I should say?
That thing that you have indicated too is actually is about, it has a lot to do with the stress. When you are depressed, when you are stressed more, understand, you are not likely to do anything, understand. It makes you, sit idle. So it makes you, you don't like doing things, understand. So it's actually a stress that the students are going through, that we as teachers were also going through at some point of time. Still, teachers have done a good job, even the students, as the video telephone, the classes have been conducted through video telephony, so we got exposed to the technology. So this has been a step, this has been the strategy of almost all the schools to teach students online, understand, to keep them engaged. But still, even though those teachers were conducting classes online, still, even though there are, a good number of students who feel, who are still stressed, who are not coming out of the, this depression. So I suggest all of these students, in order to get rid of the stress, understand, it's not first of all, let me tell you, it's not a new thing, this, getting depressed, understand, getting, stressed, I mean, it's not a new thing, especially for the students when the exams are, it's a part of life,
part
even,
of education.
yeah, part of education, when they have the regular classes in, physical educational institutions, understand, educational institutions, so they have even that time they have the stress, understand, it's not something new. Now the students are,
this is a special stress. Yes. So there are some special I should say special remedies required. So would you like to talk about them?
Yes, I'd like to talk about them. But stress is not always, let me tell you before suggesting some measures to overcome it, but stress is not always a bad thing, understand. It actually keeps the students motivated and alert to achieve.
It pushes them,
it pushes them, because
driving force, I think.
It urges them, understand, urges them.
So it's normal to be stressed.
It's normal to be stressed, understand. If students feel stressed just because exams are approaching, it's normal, because this happens, understand, when you have exams, on board, understand, I mean, exams are approaching, you are likely to get stressed.
So it's fine for them to get stressed.
Yes,
and that has to be positive. Yes. Okay, that has to make them do something, not to make them be idle.
Yes, and that's what my point is actually.
It should be driving force, not it stops you.
Yes, it should not actually make students fatigued. It should not make them sit idle at home. Rather, it should be a driving force for them, as you said. So it's but here, due to pandemic, there's no denying the fact that this pandemic, this coronavirus, has caused more stress among the students. Given the fact that they have not been able to study the way they have been studying earlier. They had been studying earlier, I mean. So
if you are asked to at least suggest them 3 things, okay, what would they be?
Yeah, the first thing, I would like my students and everybody out there, to engage, they must engage themselves in some physical activity. They should go for the walk, be it the morning or evening or both, understand, and do some exercises, here and there. This is one of the things, one of the measures that they can get rid of the stress with, understand. So the next strategy that I would, suggest for my students, for everybody out there, understand, is that students must, they should engage themselves in, pleasure reading. Reading, yeah. Pleasure reading is another, actually, the helpful activity that may help our, students, our, student community across the globe to get rid of this.
So it's an exercise of brain. It's an exercise of, like this physical exercise is exercise of your body.
Yes.
Now, reading for pleasure is actually exercise for their brain. So it will activate their brain again, okay, and it will start working again. So what else?
So I would suggest, I can suggest some more, techniques for them, or some more measures for them.
Find them to 3 because they're easily
Yes.
to be followed. Okay.
Okay. Deep breathing or meditation. They can also go for these, exercises, meditate, be it deep breathing or be it meditation. So these also help in reducing the stress.
Okay, it's sort of warm up for them,
Yes.
so that they get started again.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for these. These are really beneficial because we don't have a magic wand that we can cast over you and you can be again fine. We have to do some action.
Yes,
Okay, yeah, it's a process. It's a process. So thank you very much. Now, the main topic of this session today is the lessons we learn, because unless we know what we got from it, okay, we can't go ahead. So the lessons are very important, and as students we have to be always observant, okay, keen observers in getting lessons from the situation. It's not only, I think, books which we can learn from, or classrooms which we can learn from. I think this pandemic has taught us to learn from life. Yes. Isn't it? To learn from your restrictions, to learn from the confinements also. So let's shed some light on the lessons we learn, especially for the students, we learn from this pandemic.
Okay, we'll learn so many things from this pandemic, but first, I would talk about two things, two main things that we learned from this pandemic. First, we used to have this notion that without school education cannot happen. Mm-hmm. But that myth has completely been destroyed. By this pandemic. So education can happen and can take place anywhere, understand? So we don't require actually to some extent
significance of schools
but education, it's not only these institutions where education can take place. So we can have education, or we can acquire or get education through other platforms as well, be it the online classes, understand, be it using technology. Mm-hmm. Understand. So this is one of the lessons that we learned, that education doesn't happen only in schools or colleges.
And I think, as we have studied from schools, but that's not what we actually banked upon. We studied on our own. We read, and many great personalities of the world have done like that. Okay, we have example of Thomas Alva Edison, just 3 months schooling and then studying on his own, and see the great invention of inner peripheral bulb, and many other inventions he has made, and plenty of personalities like William Faulkner. He was a literary figure, okay, self-taught. They're called autodidacts. I would suggest my listeners here to search the list of autodidacts, and you will see a great list of autodidacts there who are self-taught, who did not go to any school or institution, or dropped out somewhere but did not give up on seeking education. So this is a great lesson we learned from, as you said, from this pandemic, this lockdown, that we could study. Many people, they found themselves in lockdown. They became great painters. They got a lot of time to paint. They did not get time for their passion. Okay, now I've seen many people, many students of mine working on their art. So that's how it happened. It happened because you got a lot of time for yourself, and you could recognize yourself, what you are good at and what you find pleasure in, because we needed the most important thing we needed in this pandemic, and that was entertainment, and we entertain ourselves through our art. So now let's go to the next lesson we learned.
Yeah, as you said that self-learning you were talking about. There's never, even if you have schools on, understand, there's never an alternative to self-learning, self-education, or self-study, what we call, understand. So
it's
you
also
see,
called an alternative source of education.
yeah, alternative source of education. Now it's not, the school is not the soul, or the colleges or the universities are not the sole custodians of knowledge these days, understand. So we have so many other platforms available, understand.
So this coronavirus has changed the paradigm of seeking knowledge from schools and universities only. Okay, we cannot deny the significance of colleges, universities, and schools. They are important, but I think they train you to be self-dependent, as we say.
Yes.
Okay, self-dependent, independent. They are able to, actually, schools are meant to train you to study on your own.
Yes.
Okay, pandemic has taught us this.
Yes. Yes, there are, actually the benefits, the lessons that we learned from the, pandemic, that self-study is, there's no alternate, as I said, there's no alternative to this. So, you have to be, you see the people around the world, those who have actually risen to the heights, or those who are actually self-taught, understand, who have done a lot of self-study, understand, who have been, who do the, critical thinking and all. So you have to be, actually, there's no alternative to reading, to, going through the stuff, to actually, to self-study. There's no alternative. If you want to rise to the heights, so you have to read, you have to go for self-study. That's an important thing, essential part of life. And apart from this, I would like to say that the lesson that we learned is that we were not, before pandemic, though technology has always been there, and it means not always been there, means for many years it's been there, for many decades it's been there, but we were not so exposed to technology, understand. Yeah, as far as imparting education or learning from these platforms is concerned. So this is rather another, actually, the benefit or the lesson that we learned from the coronavirus. So it has taught us to to use technology though
in a wise manner.
Yeah, in a wise manner. Earlier our use of technology was limited to confined or limited to or restricted to using Facebook and other social media. But today, as you see, that we have explored one more dimension of technology, that's using it for education.
Using it for education. I think the responsibility is on the teachers also now. Okay, to train the students to use technology for greater purposes than playing games and other things. Now I would like to ask one more question, that the underprivileged section of our society. Okay, as far as education is concerned, I will be confining our talk to education only. I mean, there have been students who were underprivileged and they did not afford phones, and they were now more affected by the lockdowns and all that. So what do you say about the socio-economic impact of or aspect of coronavirus? I mean, how did it affect the students especially?
No, there's you actually pointed towards a very important point, that it's adversely affected the. And it has first I'd say that it has impacted or adversely affected on all the people across communities, but it has more severely affected the disadvantaged sections of the society, what we call the weaker sections sections of the society. Yeah, because there's been recently there was a news. It was I'd say there was a news about man who had a cow, the only cow he had, the only source of income he had was that cow, understand? So he had to sell it to get a phone for his child for online classes. So it has actually there's been, apart from this for disadvantaged sections of the society, so there are vast majority of them who depend on the schooling for their midday meals, understand? So most of them compromised. They have been, there was a compromise as far as the nutrition of the children belonging to disadvantaged sections of the society is concerned.
So the lesson is that we have now responsibility. Those who are privileged,
yes,
okay, in some ways, and maybe government also, that is privileged, they have authority. So the responsibility lies upon these people to foster the underprivileged people, as far as education is concerned. Okay, you give a great example, a man selling his cow for getting a phone for his child. Okay, so we need to really help the poor section of our society to really walk with the rest of the world, walk with the rest of the people who are privileged and who have the access to technology. So we have discussed a lot of things, so we will be ending with some suggestions. Now everything has happened, now it's past now, so the lessons are learned, plenty number of lessons are learned, and there may be few more lessons which maybe we may get through comments from our audience. Okay, now what now? I mean, we should say what we have to do now. I mean, after learning the lessons, learning lessons doesn't mean that you have to now forget them and be the way you were before. Now what we have to do in future, especially for students, okay, since this is confined to students.
Yeah, as I was saying that we all got affected, adversely affected by the coronavirus, by this pandemic, and more severely were affected the disadvantaged sections of the people. I mean the students belonging to the underprivileged sections of the society. So one thing that we should bear in mind is that whenever such thing happens, because we cannot rule out that this will not happen in future, understand? So we should actually be prepared, or we should actually learn. For example, we explored several things. For example, using technology, we should not leave this technology aside, understand? So we should actually use it more and more,
and wisely, and wisely, like we did, for learning purpose and for many other purposes,
and so that we actually, if those such not only if means such situation arises again, so we'll use technology. It's not,
we have to
yes,
do it now.
Yes, we should. It should be our new normal now. Yeah, using technology for education. Though it should have always been there
sharing
for
ideas, for sharing thoughts,
for sharing,
for getting thoughts.
Forget.
We can have, I think, online clubs now.
Yes.
Okay, we did not have much time for clubs, for attending clubs, like speaking clubs, like many other clubs, painting clubs, art clubs, and science clubs. There can be, okay, not, I mean, unofficial, yes, these clubs, okay, not
I was actually
connected to the school, not only connected to school, but offline clubs like we have in our society. We have many clubs now. In order to save our time, we can have online clubs. I mean, kids can have their own clubs. Online clubs.
I was actually talking about the disadvantaged sections of the society. Understand? We should actually, the government or the society as a whole, we should have actually something already in place. Understand? Some strategy already in place, or some resources already in place for these sections of the society.
These sections, I mean, they can't. I mean, because learning through technology is cheap. Okay, you don't have to pay much. You have to buy a phone and then download some applications, and then you can go with it. So there can be some unofficial schools which can help the students who can't afford to go to school. So this, I think, this has showed us a way.
Yeah, this can be one of the measures that we actually that we can take up. Understand later. I mean, this is one of the ways, but this cannot be the only way. There might be, plenty of ways or other ways also. Actually, doing something for those who couldn't actually get the education, who didn't have actually the equal access to technology, I would say, or equal access to the education material as rest of the students had or have. Understand? So there should be, we should actually try to actually create conditions for equality of opportunity. I mean, so we should be looking at that part of the thing also. I mean,
okay, what about the students? I mean, what now for them?
So students, as always, they have been, it's it's as we were discussing earlier also, this education is not, it's not the teacher alone. This process, the process of education involves not only teacher, or the process of education not involves teacher only. Understand? So it has other dimensions also. Understand? So student has a part to play. He has a actually responsibility to perform. Understand?
He has to feel that responsibility. He has to feel responsible now to do things on his own. Okay, seeking just inspiration and guidance from the teacher, and doing things, then reading on their own, and maybe creating something, like creating clubs. I mean, they can do that. I mean, the students can club up, and then they can keep on doing some activity, maybe debating, in maybe arts. I mean, lots of things are there. So they have to now, I mean, instead of, we don't say, or we don't force them to not to play games. It's fine to play games, but when they are playing online games, they can also have some online interactions on some ideas and thoughts, and there can be some online contests, painting contests and all that. I mean, students can do that on their own. I mean, like, they are playing games and doing other things also. I think that's a great suggestion that we can.
Yes.
We can, not suggestion only. That's a great way we can follow.
Yes, we can, as you said, that we can create online clubs. Understand? For doing all this, or for painting, for other purposes. Understand? For actually, this will actually make the students more creative. Understand? Here it is the responsibility of the students to engage themselves actively in online platforms. Many things that we have learned from this coronavirus is one of them is conducting these webinars. This has been a wonderful experience. I have been myself on several webinars, so it's actually a good thing. It is. And some students also they contacted me through during this pandemic that they want to conduct a webinar. So how would they go about it? So then I suggested them, guided them a bit. I didn't have to really guide them much. Understand? They already knew. My students know. These days students are well aware of technology. They have already been they are exposed to technology, I think, more than most of the teachers. Mm-hmm. So, but the thing is that they should use it in a way. They should. Understand?
They should use it so that it's beneficial.
That's
for
beneficial.
Personality development and
for educational purposes.
For educational purposes. That was really great talking to you, Mr. Nazir Ahmed, and thank you, dear audience, for listening to us. Now, the lesson for all of us is, which have been discussed. Now we have to follow them, and we don't have to let this great disaster on us go waste. Okay, we have to now learn something and now do something, prepare for ourselves for a better future, for happier life in future. And I wish you great luck all the best, all of you, to restart your journey of seeking education again, and study with positivity and enthusiasm and great passion. So thank you once again. Wish you great luck once again. So thanks for listening. Keep supporting us, keep listening to us. Inshallah, we'll be back in the next episode. God be with you. Thank you very much.